All right, y'all. Let's talk about that one thing that we as agents never like to admit, and that's thinking about quitting real estate. And if you've ever asked yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning after a dead month or two or three, why am I still doing this? Trust and believe your favorite producer, as well as your favorite realtor's favorite realtor, has had these same conversations. And I'm here to walk you through if quitting might be a smart move going into the new year. If this is your first time checking out the channel, I am Marvin, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. Follow me on social media at Sold by Marvin, and let's begin. Now, I want to be real for a second. There are some actual signs that I'm going to discuss today that would really tell you whether real estate is a good fit for you or not. Number one is you only love the idea of real estate and not the actual work. Maybe you were sitting in a cubicle or in a job that you hated and you just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Let me go get my real estate license because I see a lot of cool realtors out there selling $1 million houses, able to take trips with their family, and they just look like they're enjoying their life. And I want to experience that for myself. But after you get licensed and you come to find out that you have to have a daily strategy and a way that you approach your business, whether that's calling expires, whether that's cold calling complete strangers that own property and trying to convince them to allow you to sell their home, or those buyer clients that got you driving all over the city, and you just tell yourself, I'm not taking them to look at houses today. I'm just not going to do it. Not because they did anything wrong, but you just quote unquote don't feel like it. Or maybe your team lead or your mentor has asked you, hey, have you recorded that home tour video? Have you gone into the contract training that's offered here at your brokerage? And you just flat out say, nah, I'll get to it when I get to it. Unfortunately, if that is you, then there is a mismatch. Real estate is a grind. It is a very difficult grind. Of course, it's better than digging ditches, but you still got to put the work in nonetheless because you don't have a boss that you report to. Your new boss is your buyer and your seller clients. If they want to go see a house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night, if you want to potentially get that sale going, it might be something that you have to sacrifice and do. So if you say you don't want to go and do that showing just because you don't feel like it, but it's technically convenient to you, you got the time to do it, and you just don't want to do it because you don't think they're serious, how in the world do you think you are going to build a real business as a real estate agent? Or if your mentor has said, hey, I need you to call 10 strangers today and have at least 5 conversations and book 1 appointment from the conversation. And you tell them, you know, I'm not comfortable being on the phone. I'm afraid. I have insecurities. We all got them, y'all. If I didn't push past my insecurities to record content for you like this on a regular basis, you would not be able to get the value from whatever value that you're getting from me to add to your real estate business. So getting on the phone with strangers is not really too different than talking to a camera here. You just have to set yourself up and prepare yourself so that when you are on the phone with those individuals, you're not tripping up over your words and you're saying something of value. Hey, if you've made it this far in the video and you are a real estate professional, consider partnering with me here at Real Brokerage. You pay nothing per month, get a fantastic split, and you have the opportunity to build a business through revenue share and stock purchases. Book a call at the link below in today's video, and I'm happy to have a conversation on why I was able to grow my business exponentially by moving my practice to Real Brokerage. All right, back to the video. For me, I like to go into actor mode is what I call it. When I get on the phone with a potential lead, I channel my inner Denzel. That's how I get comfortable on the phone is I say, hey, we're going to get this deal done. Okay. I'm here to serve you. Okay. When I make in my face, I make the Denzel face, right? But in certain instances, I'll have an accent. I'll be like, hey, what's going on? It's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. I ain't from Jamaica, but I act like I'm from the Caribbean because for me, it helps me have fun on the phone. I channel all sorts of characters as I'm navigating the conversations, and it just helps me not take myself so serious. I even laugh at myself sometimes because I'm on the phone and I sound super serious, but I'm making all kind of goofy faces to myself, and it just helps me push through. If I get cussed out by a particular prospect, no big deal. In most cases, that never happens. And if it's a scenario where because I came at it with my superpower, which I feel is my humor on the phone, that is how I've closed multiple millions of dollars of business through cold calling. So if you are not willing to push past your comfort level, if you will, then real estate's not a good match for you. But remember, if you decide to go back into the 9 to 5 world, you're going to be asked to do things that make you uncomfortable. That's the way of the world. There's no way around it. And I'm going to stick to the not being willing to have conversations point for a little while longer, because you have to remember, no conversations equals no business. How are you going to get to the closing table either as a listing agent or a buyer's agent if you're not willing to have conversations where individuals that have a need to buy or need to sell trust your expertise enough to allow you to represent them? If you're going to be what we call in our industry a secret agent, don't be surprised if you don't have any business, because frankly, people don't know what you do. And if they don't know what you do, they won't begin to build a level of trust with you and ultimately allow you to represent them as the realtor. If you are an introvert, hey, I get it. I jokingly call myself a trans extrovert, because if you see me in these streets, I'm very reserved, quiet to myself, but I show up on camera all bright eyed and bushy tailed and excited because I love what it is that I do for a living, and I love helping other agents like you win and crush. But don't get it twisted, y'all. My clients on the buyer and seller side, they are the ones that keep these lights on. So it's important for me to have as many conversations with as many people as possible, because some opportunities will not present itself immediately. A lot of times in my pipeline, I've got clients that are 3 months out, 6 months out, 12 months out, and I've only had a very small conversation with them, but I put a little seed, if you will, letting them know, hey, I am your guy when you're ready to buy or sell. And I allow them the space to give them time to do what they need to do in order to prepare themselves to work with me. But you've got to realize that if you are not willing to have conversations with individuals, ultimately you are not going to have any sales. And number three is that you are not willing to invest in yourself. Not time, not money, not skills, not coaching. You're not willing to do anything. You expect the sales to come to you out of nowhere, and you're not willing to put the work in to build your brand and build your business. I tell every agent that's interested in what alignment with me as their sponsor looks like at Real. And if that's you, click this QR code so you can hop on my calendar to talk about alignment here at Real Broker. But in every conversation that I have with agents, I'll walk through what I call the 3 pillars. That is making cold calls, which we just talked about the need and the importance of doing that. If you're not comfortable doing that, that's fine. Well, now we look at the second pillar, which is Facebook ads, being willing to invest in your business to grow your presence online on a place like Facebook or Google by running ads regularly. You got to put your money where your mouth is. And if you're not willing to make those cold calls to talk to strangers, which is free, then you got to invest in your business through ads, because there are millions of real estate agents in the world, and you've got to find a strategy to target your specific, maybe zip code or a particular part of your city that you really want to crush in. And you've got to invest what I consider the cost of a Starbucks latte on a regular basis, even more if you've got the budget for it. But you've got to be investing something regularly through a platform like Facebook or Google Ads, because that's how people are going to find you. And then the third pillar that I'll walk through is the power of YouTube. YouTube is the only platform that will pay you to advertise your business. No other platform, if you think about it, works like that. Not only do I get leads from video content like this on some of my other YouTube channels, because I got a few, but at some point, I'll become monetized. So now every time I show up to deliver value to the person watching this video, YouTube pays me a nice little chunk of change for each view that I get. That's a great 1-2 punch, if you will, when leads are calling me saying, hey, I saw your home tour video in Atlanta, and I want to see if you'd be willing to represent me because I'm relocating from New York. Of course, I'd be willing to do that. And that's money that I make that way. But then, as I mentioned, YouTube will continue to push my content into the world, and then I will get a little bit of income from that. So you got to be willing to show up and make those investments. Personally speaking, I would go with pillar 1 or pillar 3, either making the cold calls or making YouTube videos. But if you're not willing to invest in yourself and you give yourself a bunch of excuses, you can tell me excuses all you want to, but you're truly lying to yourself if you say why you cannot do one of those 3 things that we talked about. If you've got active employment coming into real estate, then you definitely should have income set aside to run ads. But if you don't have the budget, well, now you got to be knocking out a ton of home tour videos, making that investment, putting a little bit of drops in the bucket on each video upload that you put on there. And before you know it, you're going to have a massive portfolio of video content where you're showing up to individuals that are looking at homes in your city. You're the guy or gal that's there. You drop your contact information within the first 10 seconds of the video, and now they reach out to you ready to do business. Or being willing to pick up the phone and have conversations with complete strangers, utilizing a website like propwire.com, which I've talked about ad hominem on this channel, to get free seller leads that are customized to the specific areas that you want to target. If you want to crack the luxury market, you'd be looking at homes that are 1 million or more in cost and reaching out to those sellers, asking them if there's anything that you can do for them and that you are the neighborhood real estate professional. Conversations like this, if you have enough of them, at some point, if you tell me, hey, I want to be a luxury agent, and you talk to nothing but luxury prospects, boom, you're going to be a luxury agent as soon as one person raises their hand and says, hey, you've called me at the right time. Let's talk about doing some business. Now, another reason that a lot of agents probably need to quit real estate is that they got into it the wrong way. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there was a certain pain point with someone that I knew that they just decided ultimately, I'm going to quit my job and just go all into real estate. No parachute, no runway, no savings, no nothing. They're just going to get after it and do it. And I respect that. But in a lot of cases, it's better to prepare before you get ready to make that leap of faith, if you will, by building a runway of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I would try to shoot for 6 to 12 months of expenses, especially if you're going all in on real estate, because it's going to be a struggle getting your business ramped up. So you're going to need to know, no, I don't have any sales yet. Bills still got to get paid. So having that runway in place financially will allow you to make the investments, will allow you to keep the lights on, and will allow you to operate from a place of abundance versus a place of desperation. Because imagine being that real estate agent who hasn't had a deal in a very long time. They know that the home that the buyer that they're working with is looking at is trash, but they really got to get that commission check. So they lie to themselves. And unfortunately, in some cases, they lie to the client and tell them that this is a great deal and we should jump on this now. And don't worry about getting an inspection. Inspection, inspection, who needs inspection? Because they're trying to ultimately get that commission check just to keep their head above water, to use a reference from a great show back in the 70s. I don't want that to be you. Before you make the decision to go full-time into real estate, if you are studying for your license right now, because I talk to a lot of new agents, make sure that you've got a significant runway before you go all into it. And you can be a dual career agent. That's a possibility as well. You can still have your 9 to 5, but also have a thriving real estate business. I talk to a ton of agents that do that, from teachers to lawyers and all sorts of folks that have aligned with me here at Real, that have a thriving 9 to 5 career, but they also are doing well as a real estate agent. Granted, in those circumstances, you're going to want to focus more on listings, especially if you have a job that your schedule is pretty tied up from set times of the day. Maybe buyers want to go see a home and you're in the office because you're working that 9 to 5. Those scenarios, those are great opportunities to partner with another agent. I like to tell individuals to form kind of like a Batman and Robin kind of scenario, where if they're not able to do the showing, they have a partner on standby that can do those showings for them. They break them off a little change to make that run and open those doors. But if you cannot necessarily sustain yourself because you've gone all into real estate with no runway, well, it might be time to recuperate, go back into the 9 to 5 space fully, keep your license active, build up your runway, and then get back after it. But hold up, we spent the first half of this video talking about why you may need to go ahead and quit real estate. But I want to encourage you. You may just be in a situation where you need to pivot, not necessarily quit, but make a pivot. If the cost, for example, because you're at a brokerage that is charging you franchise fees, splits that are terrible, and a monthly fee that you're having to pay the brokerage whether you have a sale or not, it may be a smart idea to pivot to the cloud-based model. Of course, on my videos, I'm going to talk about how Real Broker has grown my business exponentially, but the cloud-based model isn't for everybody. Some people just want to be in offices. Some people just want to pay the rent for that managing broker. And if that's you, That's no judgment. But if you are in a situation where you need to cut costs significantly, look into the cloud-based model. There's been no change in my business in a negative way since I made the pivot, because I started my career in a brick and mortar scenario before I pivoted to the cloud-based model, and I love it. Yeah, I'm not going into an office having water cooler talk with Joe from accounting. No, I don't do that. But those savings that I'm getting because I'm not paying a managing broker's rent, if you will, at their office, I have my own home-based office. Whenever I need to meet with a client, I meet them at a closing attorney. I meet them at Starbucks. I meet them at the property we're going to tour or at their home if they're a listing. Unfortunately, when individuals do decide to quit because they didn't watch videos like this and they go back into their 9 to 5, well, that opens up more market share for folks like you and me that have what I like to call stick to itiveness. Because if there are less agents vying for the same prospects and inventory, that means there's more opportunity for those that stick around because they built a runway, because they invest in YouTube, because they invest in Google Ads. Those individuals are going to be the ones that are going to thrive when everyone else quits. Because there's still going to be clients that put their hand up and say they're ready to look for homes. There's still going to be other agents that need to refer business to your market. Hello, if you need someone here in Atlanta, Georgia, if you are an agent, holla at your boy. But we have to remember that if we're staying in the game when others are making the decision to quit, that makes things a lot easier for our business. Yeah, there's more opportunity, so you've got to have more systems and you got to basically be running your business smartly, but the opportunity is still there. There's just less competition for it. And try to remember every awkward phone call that you have with a prospect, every contract that falls through, every mentor that you realize, hey, this person wasn't a good fit, so I got to fire them, and every brokerage that you pivot from because you realized it wasn't you, it was them, allows you to become a better real estate professional. Every time I lose a contract for one reason or the other, I count it a blessing. Yeah, I could have used that money to pay some expenses for that particular month. I tell myself this opportunity that fell through, it was for my good. I don't know what that good is for right now, but I will figure it out at some point and I'll move on to the next deal. Every client, unfortunately, that I've had to let go or has let me go because they didn't want to work with me any longer, I used to get real bummed by it and have my feelings hurt and all that kind of stuff. But now I realize, hey, sometimes in life, certain relationships are just not a good fit. So release yourself as an agent watching this from the need to be everything to everybody. I've lost some really good relationships over the years. And as I gain more gray in this beard here, I realize that the people that I need to align with and the people that are in my life at the moment are the ones that I need to be focused on, not the clients that I've lost, not the relationships that have fallen by the wayside, but there's someone that is still in need of my help. And my job every day, if I'm still going to do this thing called real estate, is to show up and give them 100%. So I don't want you to ask yourself, should I quit real estate? The real question that you should be asking is, have I given my all to this endeavor? And if the answer is no, then you've got some adjustments that you need to make over the next few days, weeks, and months. Maybe recalibrating and giving another real estate brokerage might be a good fit for you at a place here like Real or any other brokerage. Maybe switching teams if you were working on a team that team is just no longer a good fit. Try another team and see how that experience is. Maybe getting in the room with other real estate agents in the form of an RA meeting, similar to an AA meeting, and hearing other agents talk through the things that they're struggling with will really truly encourage you and let you know, hey, it's not just me, it's the market in general. It's other real estate agents. It is what it is. I think if you make it a point not to center yourself and think that it's just affecting you and you're the only person that's struggling, by having conversations with other real estate agents, joining accountability groups. I got a great group on Facebook that is for any agent at any brokerage. Please click the link in the description of this video to tap in. And having these conversations and hearing what other agents are going through, I think can be incredibly encouraging for you, so that if you do make the decision to quit and just leave real estate altogether, hey, that's okay. You've given it all that you can give, and it fell and the chips fell where they did. But if that has not been the case, if you have not truly given it 100%, and you know yourself, you know when you are procrastinating, you know when you're you're not taking yourself seriously. And I want you to get after it from this video forward. And before you move on to the next video, YouTube thinks that this video is going to be incredibly helpful. I talked through some strategies that I think is going to help any real estate agent that's struggling with buyer clients focus on land deals. So watch this video right here if you're a real estate professional and you want to know how to crack the code on land deals. And I'll catch you on the next one.